What is up? What is up, YouTube? Check this out, man. This 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦 thing. First of all, Karmelo Anthony. I thought it was the basketball player that got in trouble. I'm like, dude, he retired and finished with his little run. Come find out this is a little kid, 17-year-old or something like that, in high school running track, right? And see, what had happened was he ended up going to the wrong tent and trying to get out the rain. Got out the rain or whatever. Long story short, he started telling them, "Put your hands on me, make me," whatever the case may be. And he ended up stabbing the guy. He stabbed the guy. He could have just left. That's what I'm looking at. So now Judge Joe Brown is putting in his 2 cents with Diana with the data or something like that. Oh Lord, are they related? Poor Judge Joe Brown is like, this is some family member that's begging him to do this, I guess, or something. I don't know. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out.
A quick backstory. I want to give a quick backstory of it. And actually, let me share this picture here. I guess I'll go like that. Yeah. All right. So
why'd they release this picture of the juvenile or even give his name?
Because in Texas, 17 is considered adult if you're charged.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, oh, was that it? Was that it? No.
Can I make a quick summation?
Yeah.
Please do.
All right. The way the defense might lay this out is, okay, he comes into the tent, he finds his property being taken, he gets it back, and they try to take it again from him. That's a robbery. In other words, the taking of the property of another by use of force or violence. He resisted the robbery, which is a felony, and that would morph the whole thing to killing into a felony murder situation. If you have a felony murder thing, the people who implemented the underlying felony become responsible for the consequences. For instance, if there is a proprietor, a manager, or an employee in a liquor store, and some people come in to hold up the liquor store, and there's a shootout, and one of the bullets fired by the proprietor, the manager, or an employee miscarries and kills an innocent person on the sidewalk. Well, under the felony murder thing, the employee, manager, or whatever is not charged with the homicide. The people who are charged with the homicide are the ones that started the robbery. So in this case, you have a party that starts a robbery. 2, allegedly, you have a killing that results by the would-be victim of the robbery. So what happens is, under the felony murder theory, the person that's charged with the homicide and the robbery is the survivor. In this case, one of the would-be, should-be co-defendants to the robbery, if that's the way the case is cast. The whole thing about the $1 million bond is absolutely ridiculous, because under the 5th Amendment, bonds shall be reasonable, and reasonable has been interpreted for the last 230 years by the U.S. Supreme Court and most appellate courts as meaning simply enough to ensure that a person shows up until the charges are disposed of. No more, no less, but there is a trend that the liberal side has set up to punish people who are charged. And under American law, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. An indictment or a charge is presumed under American law to be an accusation only and a mistaken one. So there you go. What you have is a DA's office that seems to have relied upon some political pressure so that the elected DA is returned to his job, his stable job, which in today's market, when it comes to lawyers, is a rare thing because few lawyers actually can earn a decent living when they practice law. Some do because they work for large firms, and large firms act on volume and reputation, even if they don't deliver a damn thing. So we have the games that are played with that.
Let me give a little bit of background here. So it said the incident happened 10 a.m. Wednesday, April 2nd, during a track meet at the 𝗗𝗡𝗢𝗡 Stadium. The Frisco Police Department said an altercation between two students identified as 𝗗𝗡 and Anthony resulted in Anthony stabbing 𝗗𝗡 in the chest. Police said by the time officers arrived at the scene, 𝗗𝗡 was unconscious and not breathing.
Yeah.
So the athletic trainers there performed CPR. 𝗗𝗡 was transported to a hospital. He was pronounced dead. Witnesses told police that Austin 𝗗𝗡 and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. One witness said they were with 𝗗𝗡 under their school tent during the track meet when someone they didn't know, identified as Anthony, came over to them. The witness said 𝗗𝗡 told Anthony to leave. Anthony allegedly grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside. Touch me and see what happens. A witness said 𝗗𝗡 touched Anthony, and another witness said 𝗗𝗡 grabbed Anthony. Police said that's when Anthony pulled out the knife, stabbed 𝗗𝗡 once in the chest, and ran away. And then once the arresting officer said, "I have the alleged suspect in custody," Anthony reportedly told the officer, "I'm not alleged. I did it." Anthony then said that 𝗗𝗡 put his hands on me after he asked him not to. After Anthony was placed inside the police vehicle, he asked an officer if 𝗗𝗡 was going to be okay and if what happened could be considered self-defense. Now, Anthony...
Stop right there a second. He went wrong. He ran his mouth off too much. He had the witnesses going for him. But if he did that, then what happens is he just quasi removed his defense, because self-defense says you can't escalate the force used unless there is disparate strength between the person who is attacked and the person who is the attacker. In other words, a little old lady could potentially use some deadly force to stop a real strong young guy from doing her in. But two young, strong guys are not supposed to escalate physical force where it is of non-lethal violence into using a weapon and becoming lethal violence. See, he shot his mouth off. He was doing good, and then he opened his mouth. So now he gave him some cause to say, okay, this is a homicide where the situation was escalated. He's an athlete. Why didn't he just respond with physical force? And if the assailant escalated it beyond what was an exchange of physical force, unarmed physical force, then he could escalate to match it.
So you saying that?
In other words, two guys are having a fist fight, and one of them pulls out a gun and shoots the other. That's going to be a murder case because the violence got escalated to another level that was uncalled for.
See, he don't want to say that, but that's the truth. You cannot go to somebody else's tent, dog, and pick a fight, and they ask you to leave the tent. So you're going to say, hit me. Self-defense, and I'm going to stab you, and then run. You could have left before you stabbed the person, man. That's the only, I'm just telling y'all, man.
Mm-hmm.
If one guy pulls out a gun, the other guy pulls out a gun and shoots him, fine. If it's a felony murder, like I was describing, okay. But he ran his mouth off and said, I did it. And He got me scared because he went in. That's not an excuse.
He shouldn't have said nothing. But again,
kept his mouth shut. So yeah.
Can that be used against him?
Yeah, it can. Anything you say can and may be used in evidence against you.
Of course, it can be used against you.
You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to consult with an attorney. You have no obligation to make a statement, but if you do, anything you say can and may be used against you.
Well,
how many times have you heard this on television? You have a right to remain silent, but it doesn't seem to settle in with a lot of people, even those who ought to know better. Fannie Willis, district attorney for Fulton County / Atlanta, Georgia, was ignorant enough to fail to take into consideration when she didn't have to testify, I'm going to take the stand. And got up there and implicated herself, a whole lot of other people.
Well, I think the difference there is she's a DA lawyer. This is 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, well, they used to. I mean, I didn't learn this in law school. I learned this in the 5th grade. I was 10 years old. I mean, what happened to the retards? They look at all of these motion pictures. You have a right to remain silent. All of these things where the gangsters and thugs get rousted by the police, you have a right to remain silent. The Miranda rights. This isn't anything new. This is from 1962. How long is that? That is 63 years ago. Granddad, great-granddad, dad, mom, great-granny, granny, and ignorant fool that doesn't pay any attention to the world is trying to shoot his mouth off and talk his way out. See, most crimes aren't solved like they say in the movies. Somebody ran their big mouth off and told somebody. I've got 6 defendants in front of me on a homicide case. You know how they called them?
How?
It was a drive-by. 5 people got shot. 3 died. You know how they called them? The damn fools went to Kinko and did 250 copies of the news article and autographed them on the back saying, we did it, and passed them out to friends, associates, and people they were trying to brag to. That's how stupid they get. 97+% of all people in American penitentiaries pled guilty. Just a little more than 2% got found guilty by a jury. Out of that 97+%, the truth of the matter is 84 to 87% confessed.
So, okay, so getting back to Karmelo Anthony, his lawyer, he in a statement released Monday by the family's attorney, they expressed sadness that a life was lost, and they did give their condolences to the 𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗏 family. This will certainly be a long road ahead. And during this challenging time, we ask for prayers for both families, and we ask for your patience and respect for the legal process as we seek the truth. Defense attorneys Billy Clark and Kim Cole said they are committed to making sure Anthony is given a fair trial and are seeking a reduction of Anthony's excessive $1 million bond. He is charged with first-degree murder. Now,
that's not first-degree murder either. That's a crime of passion. They're going to say the intent can be formed in an instant. Yeah, but that's not it. They're overcharging. This is a second-degree of voluntary manslaughter situation. Now, I say this, youth are stupid, incredibly stupid. I say that from the perspective of having gotten the youngest person in the whole world on a death row off 23 minutes before they were going to execute him. When he was 15 years, 2 weeks old, I got a stay of execution from the governor of Arkansas and from the Arkansas Supreme Court at the same time. The defendant that I was representing was accused of killing 3 people when he was in the 7th grade. The interesting thing about it is one of the grounds I got to get a unanimous reversal of the conviction was that they had an all-white jury. There were some other things that went on in there that too many people were afraid to bring up, but I did, and I filed a 12,482 page hardbound printed book of a brief where we detailed capital punishment. And if you want to hear an atrocity, the youngest person executed in the United States in the 20th century was executed in 1934. It was a 10-year-old girl for stealing allegedly 14 cents from a 5 and dime store. She was tried before a jury as an adult on Monday and hung on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Arkansas.
Man, that is crazy. But thank God we came a long way from that. That's all I got to say is thank God that we 10 years old? What was y'all thinking about back then? We have to learn and have to get better, man. Did you hear that? 10 years old, way back then, was hung or killed.
Century was
That's
executed
crazy.
in 1934. It was a 10-year-old girl for stealing allegedly 14 cents from a 5 and dime store. She was tried before a jury as an adult on Monday and hung on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Arkansas.
Well, there is a fundraiser, and so far they were able to raise $200,000 for Karmelo Anthony. I guess it's
quite sufficient for a defense. The charges that they are levying upon clients today are absolutely ridiculous. And I hope it's a good lawyer, because generally a public defender's office has more resources and a better trained staff than most private attorneys. And most private attorneys who get involved in things like this do it kind of as a gratuitous thing because they get notoriety, and that'll build up their client base and they'll make more money.
So I want to ask you this.
The right thing. When I got this young person, the youngest in the world, off death row, I did not charge him a dime. I did it pro bono and put up 50 grand of my own money.
Mm-hmm.
That was to pay for the transcripts and stuff.
Oh, and you know what? You don't see a lot of that. If
not
rarely,
because they have forgotten that this damn thing is a profession and they've turned it into a business. And lawyers owe back, because of the expertise, training, and education. They owe the public because they are the gatekeepers that keep the system honest. They are the ones that make America work. They make the rules. They have the rules, see to it that the rules are applied. And when somebody gets out of order here with this, they do what is necessary to make sure that if somebody is in fact convicted, due process of law transpired, so you don't get lawfare in disregard for the Bill of Rights and things that would make the United States a totalitarian mess, instead of a republic that has rules, where it is a nation of law, not of men. In other words, the laws control, not the whims of the people that administer things, or at least it's supposed to, as nearly as possible.
So I want to ask you this question, boys to men, right? What is going on? What do you think is going on in the high schools with the kids nowadays? You know,
they're punks. They don't duke it out, bam, bam, bam. They don't take out bullies. And the bullies are sissies. They like to pop caps on people instead of going toe to toe. And see, oh my God, we have to protect the children from bullying. And it's up to the teachers and the police and the parents. No, it's not. It's never been in human history. It's up to the kids. It's a rite of passage. So we don't encourage our kids to take on bullies. They get protected. They feel entitled. And they have a whole lot of punks that get real scared, and they pull knives out and stab somebody instead of busting them right in the mouth. we forgot. And it's not a racial thing either. White, black, brown, red, yellow. You remember Back to the Future where McFly goes back in time and he runs into his dad when dad is in high school, and dad has been bullied since that time until McFly's presence by Biff, and he causes dad to stand up. Boom, dad knocks Biff out because he gets in a good blow right to his chin. And when McFly gets back to the present, guess what? Biff works for dad, and Biff is dad's flunky because dad stood up to the bully. We don't teach that anymore.
Well, here's the thing. This situation is a tragedy all the way around. A young man, a young man lost his life, and another young man whose life is going to be devastated, is going to be completely changed and not for the good. They're both was on track to going to college on scholarships, and they were both good students, and tragedy
happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's life is life, but I'm just saying
I handle
this is what made national news, but I'm pretty sure this is not the first incident. But
it isn't. I'm sorry for interrupting.
So I think what I'm trying to say here is that it's too much of a trend. We have to stop this trend of this type of violence. So it's one thing to fight, with your fists, right? Because that's never going to change as far as bullying and fighting, and you don't like this person, I don't like that person. But when it gets to whether it's guns or knives, or when it gets to that, like, it's too much of a trend, and that is what needs to change. So
they don't know how to stand toe to toe. Young man, you're applying to the court for probation or relief from service of the full extent of the sentence that you have agreed to pursuant to the arrangement that your lawyer has negotiated with the state. Would you please answer the court and advise it or tell it why you did this? And they get off into it, and you say, well, why didn't you stand up and go toe to toe and have a fist fight? Yo, Yana, I'm too pretty. I'll rely on the ladies to take care of me. I can't have no scars on my face.
So here's the thing, though, because now, a lot of people are saying that why is the bell high? It shouldn't be that high.
Bell shouldn't be that.
Man, she is not listening, y'all. She is not listening. That's all I gotta say, y'all. She is not listening. Watch this. She trying to go with her own narrative. And I understand what she's trying to do. But Joe is giving you the facts. He's giving you the facts, dog. And the facts of the matter is this little boy is wrong. Poor thing. But if you got a good ass lawyer, I'm sorry, y'all. If you have a very nice lawyer that's going to twist this thing all the way to the left, dude, you could have just left, man. You didn't have to sit there and stab the dude. You didn't have to pull out the knife. You didn't even have to bring a knife. You on the track team. All you had to do was stick with your teammates. Where was the other people at? Why was you out there by yourself in the first place? You supposed to be with your team.
Stand up and go toe to toe and have a fist fight.
Yep, that's what everybody gonna say. Well, what? You could have just left. They told you to leave the tent. It was raining. You wasn't gonna melt if you rained. You never ran track in the rain. Y'all never exercised. Y'all never worked out in the rain. They play football in the rain. You gotta run track in the rain. I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out why would you feel as though without a throwdown, fist to fist, somebody hit you hit them back. I'm trying to figure out where the knife come in at, and why you think it's justified that you could pull a knife out on somebody. Okay, I pulled the knife out. Get back. That's it. Oh, bruh, you got a knife. I'm like this. I'm back here. I'm way back here. I'm gone. I'm out of here. Nah, you pulled the knife out and you used deadly force. A knife is deadly force. A gun is deadly force. It ain't nothing else. I don't understand.
Advise it or tell it why you did this. And they get off into it and you say, well, why didn't you stand up and go toe to toe and have a fist fight? Yo, Yana, I'm too pretty. I'll rely on the ladies take care of me. I can't have no scars on my face.
So here's the thing though, because now, a lot of people are saying that for why is the bell high? It shouldn't be that high.
Bell shouldn't be that high.
Also, George Zimmerman, you have the Daniel Penny, Daniel Penny was arrested, but then he was released, I think, out on bail. George Zimmerman, he was released on bail as well. So
yeah,
they were all arrested.
Water case, you don't set $1 million bail on it. That's the new thing. That just gets absolutely obscene. And it becomes pretrial punishment when a person hasn't had benefit of due.
No, but the question I want to ask, when you look at Kyle Rittenhouse, George Zimmerman, Daniel Penny.
Rittenhouse should never have been
charged. Let me ask the question. They were all arrested, right? And then they were bailed out.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Essentially.
No. I'm just saying they were arrested. They were hit with a bail, and then they bonded out.
A reasonable bail. In other words, what's going to assure that this person show up for the remainder of the proceedings? That's all that's necessary.
Right. It's just that the difference with this one, like you said, it's too high, and they try to punish you with these high bells. But what it shouldn't be that high.
The DA is playing politics. He wants to get reelected to his cushy job,
and you're going to use this.
Yeah, he is. He wants.
First of all, and then honestly, it's bad. It's getting bad press, but this kid has no prior. So
I know it's ridiculous.
Oh my God, man! Are you serious, man? I gotta do one more. I gotta do one without her. Because she's trying to guide the narrative. I don't know where she got it to. My bad. Make it make sense to me. Now it's time to make it make sense. I don't never use that saying. Make this make sense. What are you trying to accomplish, Miss Lady? Oh man, shoot. My bad. Her name is the real Dana. The real Dana. Yeah, I can't read, Dana. I can't read. Okay, all right. Let's just get that out the way. Now, what are you trying to accomplish? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Because everybody bail is set real high. I remember in Baltimore, there's a little kid that abused or did something to a police car. Shit. And he ended up going to jail. They had riots in Baltimore because that little boy, the police then killed the little boy in the back of the paddy wagon. So they started rioting and they was coming down the streets and everything, all this stuff, man. His bail was very, very, very big. And the reason why I know about this, because my lawyer was the lawyer who handled his case. And he was telling me, and I asked questions. I was like, dang, man, this dude got $1 million. Excuse me? Joke. His lawyer, they had $1 million bond or bail or whatever the hell. And he said, well, that's normal, man. They always start, when they first go in, they put this big old number on there just to see what we gonna do. And that's what happened with this case. $1 million bond or whatever. This is like, this is normal. There is, throughout history, man, you look at cases over and over again, man, when people had bail was $1 million or $5 million or $10 million. And then after the lawyers get in and do what they, Lord, you know, they get in the huddle and do whatever. Your Honor, come back. Your Honor, this, that, and other thing. I agree. And then the bail drops. How many cases where the bail was here and it drops? Just like this case. That's normal. That's how today's system is worked. Is what I'm trying to explain to people. That's how today's system is worked. But I don't understand, Dana. I don't understand what you're trying to get at. I'm trying to figure out what is it that you're trying to get at. Love you to death, girlfriend, sister. Do your thing. Love you to death. Help me to help you. Hey, I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. Y'all take it light, take it slow. It's one more I'ma do. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.